What up, IDS Mob? It's your boy HarryWilmington here, and today we're going to be reviewing a video by Donovan Sharpe called "She Wanted to See Other People and This Happened." So for those of you that don't know who Donovan Sharpe is, he's the guy that helps other men figure out women and how dating works, and he's got a woman named Devin that he's been with for quite a while, and as of late, they've been putting together these little skits to kind of give guys an idea about what they should or shouldn't be doing in certain interactions with women. And the one that they came out with today is actually very parallel to a situation that I went through years ago. And I think I've told it a few times on the show before, but I'm going to go over what their skit was and then what my situation was, and then talk to you guys about why it is that when it comes to this particular interaction, you want to deal with it in the manner that they're talking about, all right? So let's go ahead, and I'll stop along the way to give some commentary. But without further ado, here we go.
Hey, we need to talk.
Okay.
I think that we should see other people.
What? Wait a minute, what do you mean?
So you see, in this skit, the guy's already panicking. The woman said, hey, we should see other people, which means we're not going to be seeing each other anymore. And he's already flustered by what's going on.
I feel like we're becoming different people.
But I love you.
And I love you too, but I'm not in love with you.
Tell me what I can do to stop this.
So as you can see, he's saying this is not how you handle the situation. The fact that she's already saying we should see other people and all these other excuses that she's giving, this is a situation where most guys will try to go in and be like, but I can change, but what do I need to do, yada, yada, yada. And as you can see, he's wearing a blue shirt, by the way, so this is indicating he's currently blue-pilled in the scenario. But as you can see, he's saying this is not the way to handle that, all right? So let's continue watching the video.
Hey, we need to talk.
Sure. What's up?
I think that we should see other people. I'm sorry. I don't mean to hurt you.
No. There is no need for you to be sorry.
There isn't?
No, there isn't. The truth is, I've kind of been feeling the same way for a while.
What?
Okay, so what is he doing right here? What he's doing is this, is that most of the time, if a woman's dated long enough, she's been through the scenario whereby she's the one, usually women are the ones that'll initiate the breakup. And so she's already anticipating that when she says, hey, this isn't working out for me anymore, I don't want to be in this, that he's going to act the way that he did when he was in a blue shirt. And now he's in the red shirt, the red pill shirt. And so the way he's responding and reacting is very nonchalant. Oh, okay, well, it is what it is. Hey, you know what? I've been thinking about this for a while too, so no harm, no foul. And she's shocked because no guy up to this point has ever responded in that way. And you're going to see what happens as a result of him responding that way to her.
I think we should see other people too.
Really?
100%. I've been wanting to talk to you about this for a while, but I just needed to wait for the right time. I'm so glad you feel the same way I do, and I'm glad you brought it up. Whew, I feel so much better now.
So notice what he's saying. He's saying basically that he's not showing that he's flustered or upset or mad. And even if this was a situation, for example, where you're in this thing and you're feeling those feelings, the reality is at that point when she's coming to you and saying, hey, I think we should break up, yada, 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 the worst thing you could do is try to make this about you and how you're feeling and what you want to happen, because then it just solidifies for her why she's doing the breakup. Whereas on the other hand, if you just kind of objectively say, well, if it's not working for her, there's no point in me being here, so okay, then you're going to notice that the response that she gives you is going to be a lot different. And again, you're going to see what happens as a domino effect of you responding this way versus being freaked out about it.
Yeah, me too.
Listen, I've had a great time with you, had a lot of fun. I have no regrets. I wish you the best.
Okay, you too.
Now, some of you guys are watching this and thinking, Harry, this is not how this would run. Like, there's no way that this would happen where the woman would suddenly all of a sudden look like she's regretting her decision. And like I said, I've had this exact thing happen quite a few times, actually. And I'll get into my story once we're done with the video. But let's continue watching. So she sent a text. The text she sent says, hey. He responds back saying, did I leave something? She says, no, but I think we made a mistake. He's like, oh, what is this about? So he texts her back, huh? She texts him back and says, I don't want to break up. And then he says, we just did, and it should stay that way. Her, she says, why? He's shaking his head. And at this point, he's not responding back. So she's like, what, WTF, what's going on? Why isn't he responding back to me? Now, I got to be the one to double text him to see what's going on. So she texts him, can you come back so we can talk? He says, nope, I've got plans later on tonight. So what he's doing here is he's not only saying that you breaking up with me isn't going to bother me or ruin my day, but that I'm continuing to live my life without you. I'm still going to make plans. I'm not going to tell you what those specific plans are because, of her own accord, she's going to start thinking, if he's not saying specifically what the plans are, could it be with another woman, maybe with his boys? I have no idea, but it's going to frustrate her. She says, what kind of plans? And he doesn't answer her. And she just sits there on the chair, realizing that she effed up majorly. So now we go to the next morning. And so we see Donovan getting up with seemingly another woman next to him in bed. So he's already moved on. And she texts in a text saying, good morning. And so he's texting her back. And she's laying in bed distraught. He says, hey, morning. And then she says, can we talk later? So now all of a sudden, now that he's, been okay with the breakup and moved on, now she suddenly wants to talk about whatever. So looks at his phone. He's like, okay, I'll text her back. And he texts back to her saying, I left my iPad, so I'll be there at 3 o'clock. And then she texts him back saying, okay, with the heart face emoji. And he texts her back, smile on his face. And he's like, give his wink to the camera. And it's like, checkmate. So he's saying checkmate, meaning like, yeah, he did all the things he needed to do so that way she would ultimately want to be the one to ask him back, realizing that she's the one that made the mistake. Let's continue. It's now 7:42 p.m. Oh, 5:42 p.m., sorry. Gets back.
Hey,
so he said he was going
on?
to meet her at 3. He showed up a little bit later than anticipated just to keep her in suspense.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm
So
doing.
for those of you that are listening to the podcast, this woman is now dressed to the nines. She's got a dress on that is definitely showing all the cleavage that she got. And Devin has a pretty good amount of cleavage.
Good. So what's up?
I think we may have rushed into the breakup.
She's twirling her
I
hair.
thought we both felt the same way.
I don't know. Something changed, I think.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm ready to jump back into anything serious right now.
Okay, I get it, but can we at least try again?
I'll think about it, but if we do, we're going to take things very slowly.
Yes, of course. Whatever you want.
You win. Perfect.
So now she's on board. And why, pray tell, is she on board? Because he was able to demonstrate calmness and collectiveness when the seismic breakup that she thought was going to happen didn't happen. And as a result of that, it made her question just how much he was actually into her or not, because the fact that he was able to be so calm about the fact that she was breaking his heart, quote unquote, makes a woman think, holy crap, like, I thought I had a stronger hold of him than that. Why is it that he's not trying to beg for me? Why is it that he's not trying to stay and say, oh, baby, I love you so much, I'll change, I'll do whatever. Like, she didn't get the reaction she expected. And so now that's hitting at her ego, and now she's got something to prove. And the other thing is this, is that ultimately women are looking to see that a guy has that kind of strength and control. And even if she's hooking up with other people already or sneaking around, the reality is most guys she's going to run across aren't going to be able to hold it together as well, and are going to eventually turn into those needy, desperate guys that are going to be begging her for her attention, for her approval, and to stay in a relationship should she decide she's having one of those days where she wants to break stuff off. Now, the rest of this video goes into how, like, basically, if she's saying we should see other people, that there's a good chance that she's already seeing other people, and that therefore you don't want to ever try to get back with her in a serious capacity. The story that I have is very similar but different because I've had this happen quite a few times. But the most pointed story is that a while ago there was a woman that I dated, And we had dated for about 10 or 12 months, and she was definitely the one of the two of us that wanted to get more serious. She wanted me to move in with her. She was already talking about trying to get like a duplex so we could live together or whatever. And I just have always been of the thought that you don't get property with anybody or live with anybody until you get married to them. Now, some of you may disagree. That's my preference. But anyway, but it got to the point where we had a couple of disagreements here and there. And there was a weekend, it was like right after New Year's, where I had this, my friend and his girlfriend were going to go to Vegas for the weekend. And I had spent like almost a week and a half with her going to my parents' place and then her parents' place for the holidays. And I was exhausted and wanted my alone time because I'm an introvert. And so I didn't want to go with my friend, except he had gotten a timeshare where there was an extra room. And he was like, me and this girl I'm dating, we're going to be in our own room, and we already have this other room rented out that we got to use, so you can just come for free. You can stay in that room and not see us or be to yourself as much as you want to. And I was like, that's awesome. So I went on the trip, and I did not invite her to go because I just seen her for a week and a half and needed my 2 days. So she had talked to my cousin, who I lived with at the time, about wanting to do something for my birthday and was trying to find where I was at. And my cousin was like, oh, he's in Vegas. And she got real mad about it. But rather than say, hey, your cousin told me that you went to Vegas, you didn't tell me what's going on, I'm upset about this, like, you could at least told me we were going out of town, yada, 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 she sends me a breakup text. And the text said something to the equivalent of, hey, so I don't think this is working out. I think that we should, like, separate. And I was visiting, I think at the time I was in bed when I got in the morning. And so I literally looked at the phone, and I got this a bit of a panic freak out because I was like, oh crap. At that point in time though, I had already been kind of thinking about breaking up with her in the first place. I just was like, I didn't have the guts to do it at the time. Like I was like, things are going pretty well. And aside from a few hiccups here and there, she likes me, but I was really kind of getting more and more to the thing of like, we should probably break it off, but I hadn't expressed that yet. And I was like, maybe this weekend in Vegas will allow me to sit on some stuff and think about it. So when she sent the text, initially my ego was like, how could she break up with me? And then I remembered, wait a minute, is this really because I'm hurt that she wants to dump me or because she did it first? And once I realized it's because she did it first, I was like, okay, well then get over all that. Just, it is what it is. If she's serious about this breakup, why fight her on it? So I turned to my phone and I literally text back, okay. And then I rolled over and went back to sleep. And then I spent that weekend a little frustrated. Again, girls coming to me and saying she wants to break up. I was kind of feeling some kind of way about that, but I was like, but ultimately, if she didn't do it, I was going to do it, So I thought that was the end of it, right? Because she broke up with me and I was respecting her request to no longer be in a relationship. I was not going to fight her. I was not going to say, how could you do this? We need to talk, blah, blah, blah. Like this is what, in my head, if this is the decision she has come to, then all my fighting in the world isn't going to change that. And this is the first time, or not the first time, but it's one of the times that, again, I was reminded of how guy logic doesn't necessarily work as it pertains to women's emotions. Because even though she sent that text, did she actually want to break up? And the reality was, I'll say this, the reality was probably not, but me not responding in the way that she anticipated, which was, she probably thought I was going to freak, well, I'll tell you what, we'll get into that later on. So anyway, I send the text and I go to sleep. And then I get back in town. I dropped off some stuff at her place, but I left her on her door because she had left some stuff in my car. And then that's it. I went home. So fast forward to like 2 days later, she hits me up. And she's like, hey, Harry, so like, at the time she'd been leaving a couch at my place that I had been holding for her. So she was like, hey, Harry, so like, I need to come and get the couch still because, I need to put it in storage or whatever. So when I decided to move, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, you can come by, get your couch. I'll help you get the couch out of the thing, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And again, thought that was going to be the end of it. And then she texts me and is like, and I kid you not, the text literally said, and also, we should have like one more hookup, just like basically like a breakup hookup. And I'm looking at this text like, you gotta be kidding me. Like this chick was mad. She broke up with me, which means in my head, she doesn't want to have anything to do with me anymore. So the fact that she's now suggesting that we meet up and hook up, I'm like, this has got to be a trap. Got to be a trick. And so I was like, nah, I don't think that would be a good idea. And then she was like, okay, well, how about if like we meet up and talk? I have a lunch break on this day at this time. We could meet up and just talk about stuff. So at this point, I'm like, I got to see where this goes. All right, I'll check it out. So fast forward to that Friday. We meet up at the nearby mall, a restaurant near where she works. And so we, talk about bull crap for a little bit. And then she starts talking. And what she said to me, guys, was eye-opening. What she said was that the reason she had sent the text to break up with me was because she thought my reaction was going to be, oh no, don't do that. Why are you breaking up with me? Can't we talk about this thing? And then that would have allowed her to talk about some of the grievances she had as it pertains to our relationship. And it's funny because I told her way early on that I'm a direct guy. If you have a problem or situation, I have no problem sitting down with you and talking about it calmly, but you can make requests to me. You can say, hey, this thing you did, this thing you said, these actions that you did were upsetting to me and they hurt my feelings and I want to talk about it. And I will sit there and take it. I'll sit there and say, hey, you know what, babe, you were absolutely right. I did this thing and I shouldn't have. I didn't recognize your feelings in this thing and I should have listened. But she didn't want to do that. She wanted to come with the around the back, hey, I'm going to break up with him, and that's going to manipulate him to act this way, at which point I can then say these things, and he'll acquiesce to my program. And so that's not what's happening over here. Because I tell you guys all the time, like, again, you need to be a guy that's strong enough to be able to take on these things and be able to, if a woman's coming to you and has legitimate concerns or grievances about you, to be able to take them, listen to them as constructive criticism, and then figure out how to fix them. But what you don't have to deal with is somebody that's going to say, instead of telling him my actual feelings, I'm going to do this thing and make him dig for the reason that I did that thing, and then that'll allow me to manipulate him into doing things I want him to do, because that's then not fair to you, all right? So she told me she broke up with me because she thought that I was going to act a certain way and beg her and plead her for the thing or whatever, and I was like, but you didn't have to do that. You could have just said you were mad and upset. I totally get it. Like, I went out of town. I didn't tell you that I was going because I needed some time to myself, and it was only going to be like 2 days, but I understand all that. Hey, if that was a thing that was going to annoy you and make you upset, we could have talked about it, but you don't want to do that. You broke up with me. And so now I'm just feeling like because at that point she's like, okay, well, maybe we can still get back together. I said, well, I already told you, like, once I break up with somebody, like, I'm not trying to do this whole back and forth thing. And not that I haven't, because I definitely have before. But A, I wasn't really trying to see her like that anymore anyway. And also, because it was such a surprise how she broke up with me, I was just like, I don't want to go through that again. So at this point, I'm saying that it's probably best if we just don't, like, have a relationship anymore. She was like, okay, well, So I thought that would be the end of it. And it wasn't. Because then, hits me up a few days later, she's like, again, she's feeling really some kind of way. She wants to get physical with me. And so, she was basically trying to bulldog her way and like, hey, I want to come see you and, whatever. So I was like, you know what? Fine. So she came over, we did some stuff. And at that point, I wasn't feeling like we did some stuff and it was okay, but I was just like, this isn't really who I want to be with anymore. And so at that point, she tried to ask for another hookup and I was like, I'm good. And she got really mad about it. And then she did some other stuff that was, I won't spread her business on here, but needless to say, the point is that this is exactly parallel with the story that Donovan and them are telling here. That you have a woman that was trying to break up with him, and when he acted all butthurt, oh my God, what's his name? It only made her want to do the breakup more. And so a lot of you guys don't understand this. And I wrote a whole book called The 10 Ways to Get Back with an Ex. And the first thing I talk about, in chapter 1 of that book, which you can get at introvertdatingsuccess.com, the first thing I talk about is that when the breakup first happens, regardless of how you feel about it, just accept it. Say, hey, if that's how you feel, it is what it is. I had a great time, and best of luck to you. Because you throwing a pity party, you trying to guilt her into taking you back, none of these things are going to actually make her think about whether or not she wants you around. If anything, it's going to make her think, good Lord, I definitely need to get rid of this guy. He's not respecting my boundaries. He's not listening to what I have to say. And he's really doing all this needy, like, desperate behavior that I'm not finding even attractive at all. So now I really got to dump him. Whereas if the breakup occurs and you're just like, you can feel you want to feel. Hey, go to your boys, talk about it. Go to your mom, go to your uncles. Say, hey, this girl broke my heart. She ripped it in two. I feel horrible. Sit at home, watch YouTube videos about how to go through a breakup, all that stuff. But in terms of in front of her, you do not. If you want to have a better chance of her trying to get back with you later, you do not, under any circumstances, try to show her how upset you are by her breaking up with you. And to his point, if she's talking the talk of we should see other people, she's probably already eyeing your competition anyway. So why try to fight that then? Why try to fight for her when she's already looking at somebody else? So in either situation, whether she's saying we should see other people, which means she probably is, or that she just got mad at you and says, we should break up, your response should always be, Okay. And then go away and wait. Stop calling her, stop texting her, take her off Facebook, and then just wait and see what happens. I find more often than not, women that do that, if you treat them in that way or you just, actually respect what they're saying, more often than not, they'll probably come back and, try to make things up with you or try to explain they were just going through a situation or they were on their period or they were feeling some kind of thing. And then at that point, you can decide, well, do you want to go back to that? Do you not want to go back to that? Do you want to make it a friends with benefits situation or do you want to just leave it alone altogether? Any decision you make, perfectly fine, but don't let her breaking up with you be the catalyst for her being able to manipulate and control you into doing things. And this is also why you as the guy are the one that is leading the interactions in your relationship. So early on, you need to say, hey, I'm a guy that has no problem taking criticism, but I don't read into hints very well. I'm not good at passive language. If you have a problem with me or a grievance of some kind or something that I've done, I'd rather you come to me respectfully and talk about it because I can handle a person coming to me respectfully and wanting to talk about some stuff. But you trying to do this behind the back stuff or trying to say, well, I said this, but I meant this, that is the fastest way for me to say, I'm out of here because I want to have direct communication with you because I think it's fair to you and I want the same in return. You can have that conversation. Women that like you and also know how to have good communication skills of their own will respect that and be able to do it. And by the way, I have found as much as women talk about how great they are at communication, a lot of women are good at talking and expressing themselves, but they're not always the best at listening or in an argument situation, really knowing how to come to you without being insulting and then also being able to take criticism that you give back to them without crying and breaking down, okay? So try to find yourself a woman that's good at communication overall, but if she's not, lead her in areas where she can learn about how to have good communication. You should always be in relationship books. You should always be looking up things on YouTube that are going to help you be a better communicator that you can then pass on to your woman and you want to do this when times are good because when you start to get into a fight and it's bad, you want to already have the tools to handle that versus having to either learn them yourself or try to teach them to her to be able to have a decent conversation, all right? But anyway, guys, if you need help with that, then you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, click on the coaching tab. We can have a one-on-one conversation where we talk about your needs, your possible women's needs, and how you can be a better communicator, and also what you should do in, situations that may arise that you're not used to dealing with. Especially if you haven't dated a lot. When you first start dating, there's going to be new situations or things women say to you that you're like, what does this mean? How am I supposed to respond? How am I supposed to react? And I can definitely help you with that, all right? You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/HarryWilmington. And if you like this video and want to show your support, you can click on the tip jar tab at introvertdatingsuccess.com, leave a monetary thank you. That's all I got. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. I'm out. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Introvert Dating Success Podcast. Visit us at introvertdatingsuccess.com for more great tips on attracting women using your natural introvert charm. Oh,